A big disclaimer before I begin. The goal of this video is not to influence you to decide for or against this idea. This video is simply to help guide you into asking the right questions and turning the wheels of your mind. I'll also be providing the sources for the data and information used in this video, whether throughout the video or at the end or even possibly in the description. So with that said, let us begin. I want to ask a question that sounds simple, but gets complicated the moment you look at the data. Who does marriage actually benefit? And before anyone assumes they know the answer, I want us to sit with this together, okay? Because I did not fully know the answer before I researched it myself. And some of what the data shows also surprised me. Some of it confirmed what I and probably many of you have suspected for a long time. And some of it complicated what I thought I knew in ways that it was hard for me to understand. Okay, honestly. So let's go through this together. No predetermined decision or conclusion, just the data and what it means. This is where people split immediately. One side, largely driven by certain corners of the internet, says that marriage benefits women at the expense of men, that men are financially exposed, emotionally drained, and statistically worse off when marriages end. The institution was designed to trap men and liberate women, they say. This position is very loud on the internet. It is also only partially supported by the data. The other side says that marriage has historically and statistically benefited men far more than women. That women carry more of the weight, the sacrifices, more of their identity, lost more economically when it ends, and gain fewer health benefits from being inside a marriage. This position is also only partially supported by the data. And the honest answer is that both sides are reading real data and drawing conclusions that are more absolute than the research actually supports. The full picture is more nuanced and more interesting than either side admits. Let's start with health, because this is where the most consistent findings live. Married men are healthier than unmarried or divorced men and are also more likely to live longer. That's what the data says. Married men and married women live on average 2 years longer than their unmarried counterparts. So marriage extends life for both men and women. That is real. The data says it. But here is where the gap appears. Most studies report a positive relationship between marital status and health, with findings consistent across cultures and countries. Gender effects are significant, with men demonstrating greater health benefits than women. Why? Men married to women tend to see additional longevity benefits than women married to men. Research shows that women promote their spouse's health more than vice versa. In other words, married men live longer partly because of their wives. In other words, married men live longer partly because their wives are actively managing their health for them, nudging them towards better habits, monitoring their well-being, creating home environments that reduces stress. Unmarried men and divorced men don't eat as well as married men. They are less likely to exercise, but more likely to smoke, drink excessively, and engage in other riskier behaviors, which tells us something important. The health benefit married men receive is not simply from the institution of marriage. It is from the women inside it. Happiness. This is where it gets genuinely provocative. Married men are happier than married women. Unmarried women are happier than unmarried men. Let me repeat that. Married men are happier than married women. Unmarried women are happier than unmarried men, which means marriage increases happiness for men more significantly than it does for women. And the absence of marriage hurts men more than it hurts women. Research shows that marriage is more beneficial to men in terms of health, emotional support, household labor, and less stress, as well as financial stability. And the emotional support finding is particularly significant. Men mostly rely on their wives for emotional support rather than on other men or family members, which means for most men, their wife is their primary emotional system, their closest confidant, their most trusted relationship. And for most women, their husband is one of several emotional support relationships they maintain, which means when a marriage ends, the man loses his entire emotional infrastructure and the woman loses one part of the broader network. That asymmetrical explains a lot about why unmarried women are happier than unmarried men. Now the economics picture, and this one cuts in a very specific direction. After divorce, women experienced a sharper decline in household income and a greater poverty rate. Their former husbands, in contrast, may even improve their standard of living in post-divorce years. One study quantified the resulting gender gap, estimating a 27% decline among women and a 10% increase among men in their standard of living after divorce. 27% decline for women, 10% increase for men. After the same marriage ends, that is not a small gap, that is a structural one. And it connects directly to something this channel has talked about before, the way women's careers, earning potentials, and financial independence are disproportionately affected by what happens inside a marriage. The mental load, the career sacrifices, the years spent building someone else's stability at the cost of their own. Now, here is where I want to be intellectually honest, because the data is not entirely one-sided. Recent studies evaluating the interactions between marital status and gender have reported that the health effects of women are equally distributed among men and women. Nonetheless, the perception that marriage only benefits men persists. Resistance to current realities. Marriage seems to confer its mental health benefits indiscriminately. Married men and women are both better off from a mental health perspective relative to their unmarried peers. So the data is generally mixed in certain areas. Some studies show equal benefit. Some show men benefiting more. Very few, though, show women benefiting more. And the honest reading of all of it is this. Marriage benefits both men and women in measurable ways. But the distribution of those benefits is not equal. And the distribution of those costs is not equal either.
Who is marriage good for? Who's it serving more, men or women?
Now, men.
Because I was thinking, if we pressed a button and the marriage stats went backwards in time, i.e. more people got married and they gave birth within marriages, would that be better for men or women?
It'd be better for men.
Why?
Because being with the kids and kind of with the mum is just right now still an incredibly important way for men to feel needed, connected, involved, etc. Mm-hmm. Now, that might change, but right now it is pretty clear that they'll do better. And like if you look at the impact of being married and not married on employment, earnings, health, physical and mental health, life expectancy, huge positive impacts for men, much less so for women. And of course, if you go back, if we went the other way, like you'd say, well, actually women who weren't married were in real trouble economically until recently, right? Women used to be economically dependent on men, but men were emotionally dependent on women. And I think we've really done a lot on the first half of that, and it's kind of revealing the second part, the fact that actually wifeless men, partnerless men, childless men, they don't do so well. In fact, they do terribly.
Marriage is an institution that is absolutely terrible for women. It is a garbage deal. A friend of mine said recently, if marriage benefited women, they would have taken it from us already. Married women do not live as long as single women. They do not earn as much money as single women. They are not as happy as single women. They are more likely to suffer from addiction than single women. They are more likely to commit suicide than single women. They are more likely to die of homicide than single women. They report themselves in every single way that you can measure sociological data for wellness as being less contented than single women. Married men, on the other hand, married to women, outperform single men by such a measure that it is perhaps the healthiest thing that a man can do is to get a woman to marry him. Married men live longer, they're healthier, they make more money, they advance more in their careers, they're more creative, they're less likely to commit suicide, they're less likely to die of homicide, they're less likely to die in car accidents in every single possible way. The best thing a man can do is to get married to a woman. The worst thing a woman can do, statistically speaking, is to get married to a man, because what happens is it's called the marriage benefit imbalance. Those imbalances are exactly equal, meaning the percentage of herself that a woman gives to a man, she loses and he gains. So she's literally giving her life to him.
And this is where I want to connect the data, because this is not just a statistic conversation. This is a theological conversation too, seeing as I am a Christian and most of my followers are religious or are faith-based. It's also cultural conversation, a conversation about what we were told marriage was for and what the data shows it has actually been producing. If marriage benefits men more consistently across health, happiness, emotional support, and post-divorce economics, then who was the institution primarily designed to serve? And if women have been the primary architects of those male benefits, managing their health, absorbing the emotional weight, sacrificing the career, carrying the mental load, while receiving less of the upside and more of the downside, what does that tell us about how the institution has actually functioned? Not in theory though, not with scripture, in practice, with the data.
If women can become pregnant by themselves, all the men the woman has. If the way they can take clay and swallow it and their stomach become big and all them are the woman. Because literally they don't need us. It's we that need them. Wow. Go to the Bible and check it. It's there. What did God say that? That is why men die faster than women. We don't need them. It is no good. Everything God created, the only thing that is no good is when a man is alone. It's in your Bible. It is no good that the man should be alone. It didn't say the woman should be alone. That is why we can leave our father and mother, but they don't leave. Because they don't need us. That means that watch this. That's why I'm helping your mind. This one is spiritual. That's why if you don't append your theology, you can't get it. They don't need you. I'm not the one who say. God said it is not good that the man should be alone. So loneliness can kill a man fast. But it cannot affect a woman. Anna lost his husband and lived over 40 years as a prophetess. But the man can't. Unless God castrates him.
Many of my Ghanaian sisters have tagged me under this particular post. Many of them saying, Dr. Zita, you're always right. Come for your stone. I have said this in multiple ways and I get attacked. Oh, she's so bitter. She's against marriage. I am not against marriage. And that is why as a woman, when you're kneeling down to collect a ring and you are begging a man to marry you, you have subverted the spiritual order and the natural order. In the law of nature and in the realm of the spirit, the female is the divine. And that is why the Bible said that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. Also, when you look at the existing research on who benefits from marriage, it is men. Married men live longer, they are healthier, and they have an increased income over time due to career stability and career mobility, implying that married men have a higher chance of moving through the ranks at their job and earning more compared to single men. Capitalism rewards married men because a married man is perceived as responsible. However, married women are more stressed, they sleep less, their life expectancy reduces because married women handle the domestic work, the emotional labor, and the psychological distress in the relationship. They also experience the motherhood penalty. That is, married women who have kids, they experience the motherhood penalty, simply implying that the earning capacity of a married woman with kids reduces when she has children because women provide the primary care for children. That is what the research says, and the Bible also supports what the research indicates. But when I say it, oh, Dr. Zita is against marriage, she's so bitter. But that is your Ghanaian pastor. And before the men come into the comment section, oh, you are lying. Look in your neighborhood. There are so many widows. Some of you, your mothers became widows at 45, at 50, and they are still single in their 70s. But a man will lose his wife, and within less than a year, he will be married again. Because men need women to be able to function in society. But it is because women do not know their worth and women do not know their power. That is why most women, especially African women, are desperate. Dear African women, anytime you beg a man to marry you, you are going to the ends of the earth just to convince a man to marry you, and you kneel down to collect a ring from a man, you have gone against the spiritual order and the laws of nature. As a result, you will never get any true fulfillment in that particular relationship. A woman is a favor and a blessing upon the life of a man. Move in that knowledge. Men need women more to be able to survive and function in society. So as a woman, understand that you are the blessing, you are the favor upon the life of a man. Walk in that knowledge and stop being desperate for a man to marry you and choose you. I'm not the one who is saying it. A pastor is the one confirming everything I keep saying on my page. My name is Dr. Zita. I'm a sociologist, and like they say, I will always be right because my perspectives are rooted in knowledge, not in personal sentiments.
So then, where does this leave us? Not with the conclusion that marriage is bad, of course. The data does not say that. Both men and women derive real benefits from marriage. Mental health, longevity, connection, stability. But the conversation about who benefits deserves more honesty than it actually typically gets. Because a woman who understands what the data shows is not a woman who is being cynical about marriage. So she is a woman asking the right questions before she enters one. What will this cost me specifically? What will I gain specifically? What does the person I am choosing understand about those costs and gains? And is the version of marriage we are building together one where the benefits and the burdens are distributed with enough equity that both people genuinely flourish inside it? Because that version of marriage, the one where both people are genuinely better off for being in it, is worth building. It is worth protecting. It is worth everything the best version of this institution has ever promised. Data tells us that that version is not automatic though. It has to be chosen deliberately by both people every single day. I'm Elizabeth, and this channel exists for people who are tired of surface level conversations and they will want to go deeper on their faith, societal issues, culture, identity, womanhood, becoming, and the things nobody in your circle is really talking about. Okay. So if that is what you're into, you are in the right place. Subscribe and come back for more because there's a lot more where this one came from. Okay. And I will see you hopefully in my next video. Bye.